Have you ever stopped to wonder about the hidden meaning behind the month you were born in? At first glance, it might seem like a small detail, just another part of your biography without much weight. But for Carl Jung, one of the most profound voices in psychology, your birth date was far from insignificant. In his view, it was intricately tied to symbolic forces that reveal your true essence. Jung suggested that the month of your birth holds more than just seasonal implications. It serves as a doorway to the unseen forces shaping your psychology, your inner gifts, the emotional lessons that are yours to learn, and even the subtle energy you bring to the world around you. This isn't about predictions or mystical fortune-telling. It's a perspective rooted in psychology that can offer deep insights into your personal journey. Imagine, for a moment, that delving into the symbolism of your birth month could uncover dormant aspects of your personality. That it could shed light on your emotional world, your instincts, and even the life mission you're here to fulfill. Sounds a bit dramatic? Perhaps. But once you explore Jung's concepts of archetypes, the collective unconscious, and the cyclical patterns of nature, the idea becomes far more grounded and believable. In this exploration, we're going to dive into Jung's symbolic view of time, particularly how each month carries a distinctive psychological energy. This energy might gently shape the way you relate to yourself and to the world, influencing your personality traits, emotional landscape, and even your spiritual growth. Before we begin, if you're someone who finds meaning in life's deeper layers, consider subscribing to our channel. Here, we go beyond surface-level advice to offer reflections that challenge you to grow and evolve. By joining our community, you'll connect with others who are on a similar path of seeking wisdom, understanding, and personal transformation. So take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear might not just change the way you see your birth month. It might reframe how you understand your story, your recurring patterns, and the silent forces that have been shaping your journey all along. It's not about labeling you or putting you in a box. It's about unveiling the intricate patterns woven through your being. Let's begin with one of Carl Jung's core beliefs, that the universe is a tapestry of recurring patterns, what he called archetypes. These are fundamental images and energies that echo across all human cultures, stories, and spiritual traditions. They live both around us and within us. Jung believed that we each embody a unique blend of these archetypes, subtly guiding how we think, feel, and move through the world. Moreover, Jung believed that the cycles of nature, like the changing seasons, reflect these archetypes too. The icy stillness of winter, the renewing energy of spring, the bright vitality of summer, and the introspective hush of autumn. Each of these seasons corresponds to a unique psychological energy. And since each month is part of a particular season, it holds its own symbolic weight. For Jung, the month of your birth isn't just a date on a calendar, it's a symbolic stamp. It's the moment you stepped into the world, filled with its own special atmosphere. The setting, the seasonal energy, the contrast between light and darkness, the feeling of beginnings or endings, all of it shapes the emotional and symbolic backdrop you were born into. Take March, for instance, a month of transformation. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's the shift from winter to spring. Snow begins to thaw, days grow longer, and the world starts to come alive. Jung saw that people born in transitional months like March or September, when summer fades into autumn, often carry a sense of duality. They can feel caught between two realms, between rest and movement, contemplation and action. These individuals are usually more attuned to change. They notice subtle shifts in their surroundings and their emotions, and they often strive to balance opposing forces. Now consider those born in months like January or July. These are months of settled energy, when a season has fully taken root. People born during these periods often reflect the energy of stability and order. Jung linked them to archetypes of persistence, inner fortitude, and long-term vision. They are the builders, the ones who create structure and bring a sense of groundedness to those around them. There's a psychological resilience in them, a quiet strength that endures and supports others. What Jung found so fascinating is that time itself isn't neutral. It has a pulse, a mood, and a story. And when we're born at a particular point in that unfolding story, we absorb a certain symbolic atmosphere, like a faint but persistent melody in the background that shapes how we think, feel, and act. It doesn't dictate your fate, but it offers a kind of map, a symbolic guide that can help you understand yourself better. This symbolic map doesn't tell you exactly what you must do. Rather, it reveals the inner currents you're likely to experience, the strengths you can draw from and the shadows you're here to face. For Jung, knowing yourself was the gateway to true freedom. And part of that self-knowledge comes from understanding the archetypal forces that shaped your arrival into this world. The beauty of this idea is that it takes something we often overlook, the month we were born, and turns it into a profound tool for introspection. Suddenly, that date on your birth certificate is no longer just a number. It's a portal, an invitation to connect with the deeper rhythms of nature, psychology, and the soul. And now, we come to the true question. What does your birth month reveal about the path of your soul? Each month, through Jung's symbolic lens, aligns with a particular archetype, an eternal inner blueprint that exists within everyone, though it may be stronger in some than in others. Recognizing these patterns can explain why you gravitate towards certain roles in life, why specific challenges seem to reappear, and where your deepest wisdom naturally resides. In the following sections, we'll uncover the hidden meaning of each month, from the silent stillness of January to the transformative depth of November. You'll see how Jung's insights into archetypes can bring a new dimension to the passage of time itself. We'll start by unraveling the symbolism of the year's early months, and you might find echoes of yourself in places you never thought to look. But remember, this is not about confining yourself to a label. Jung's archetypes are not cages. They are mirrors. They don't tell you what you must be. They show you what's already within, waiting to be seen and named. So if you're curious to uncover the symbolic energy that your birth month carries, and how it might be quietly shaping your choices, your feelings, and your personal evolution, come along with us on this journey. In the next section, we'll explore each month in turn, delving into the archetypes that Jung believed were woven into the fabric of time, from January, February, and March, all the way through to December. What you discover may not just surprise you, it may awaken a part of yourself that's been dormant, waiting for recognition. Having explored Jung's belief that your birth month holds symbolic significance, acting as a reflection of the archetypal energies shaping your psyche, it's time to take a closer look at each month on its own. To Jung, these months weren't just convenient divisions on a calendar, but symbolic milestones in the great cycle of nature. Each carries its own emotional tone, and those born within them may find themselves naturally attuned to these ancient, archetypal forces. Let's begin this journey through the calendar, uncovering what each month might reveal about the deeper landscape of your soul. January, the archetype of the elder or the sage. January arrives in a hush. In many places, it's the coldest, most subdued time of year, a moment for reflection and quiet thought. It marks not just the start of a new year, but also a chance to pause and look back at what came before. Jung saw January as carrying the energy of the elder or the sage. People born in January often have a natural sense of depth and responsibility even in their youth. They might not be the loudest voices in the room, but when they speak, they command attention. There's a wisdom to them, a gift for seeing life through a wider lens. They're usually focused on long-term goals, stability, and the kind of practical knowledge that endures. Even if they appear reserved, they're often quietly driven and deeply grounded. Yet like all archetypes, the sage has a shadow side. Taken too far, this archetype can become overly cautious, excessively serious, or emotionally distant. Those born in January may sometimes find it challenging to stay in touch with joy or to allow themselves moments of lightness. Their growth comes from honoring their natural wisdom while remembering to welcome playfulness and spontaneity. February, the archetype of the visionary or the revolutionary. February still carries winter's chill, but there's an unmistakable sense of something new stirring beneath the surface. It's a month of promise and change, and for Jung, it was connected to the archetype of the visionary, the one who sees past what is into what could be. Those born in February often have vivid imaginations and a knack for innovation. They're naturally inclined to break away from rigid expectations and think for themselves. There's often a quiet rebellion in them, not just for the sake of resisting, but because they truly believe in a different, often better, way. Many of them are also highly creative and emotionally aware, even if they keep those qualities hidden at times. But the visionary's path can be lonely. Living in the world of ideas and ideals can sometimes make the ordinary routines of life feel confining. For those born in February, the challenge is to find ways to root their lofty insights in the world around them, transforming their visions into real, tangible change. March, the archetype of the reborn or the awakener. March stands as a powerful moment of transition. In the Northern Hemisphere, it heralds the arrival of spring, life stirring back to motion after the long dormancy of winter. In Jung's symbolic thinking, March is linked to the archetype of the reborn, the one who steps out of darkness into the light, from stillness to growth. Those born in March often have a heightened emotional awareness. They feel things deeply and often possess a quiet, intuitive connection to the world around them. There's often a spiritual or artistic essence within them, an appreciation for nature's rhythms and the power of personal renewal. These are the people who can reinvent themselves repeatedly throughout life. They're stronger than they appear, able to find resilience even in challenging times. Yet the shadow of the reborn is to be swallowed by one's own emotional world, becoming lost in intense feelings, or retreating too far inward. Those born in March need to watch for these patterns, striving to balance their rich inner landscape with a sense of stability in the outer world. April, the archetype of the warrior or the initiator. April bursts forth with motion and life. Days stretch longer, the world speeds up, and there's an unmistakable surge of energy. This month is infused with the vibrant, assertive spirit of the warrior or the initiator, the archetype of courage, boldness, and decisive action. People born in April tend to be spirited and direct. They're natural go-getters, always ready to launch into new projects or challenges. There's a passionate drive in them, and they often step into leadership roles without even meaning to. They're fearless when it comes to standing up for what matters and bring an infectious enthusiasm wherever they go. But every archetype has its shadow. For the warrior, it's the risk of acting without thinking, of becoming reckless or overly combative. April-born individuals may need to watch for signs of burnout or frustration when things don't move as fast as they'd like. Their personal growth often lies in learning to balance that fierce energy with patience and the wisdom to know when to act and when to hold back. May, the archetype of the builder or the lover of simplicity. May arrives wrapped in a gentle strength. The natural world is in full bloom, alive with color and quiet beauty. For Jung, this month carries the energy of the builder, the archetype that finds fulfillment in creating, nurturing, and savoring life's simple pleasures. Those born in May often have a grounded and deeply sensual presence. They draw comfort from familiar routines and take delight in the tactile world. Food, art, music, the scent of flowers in the morning air. These individuals thrive in spaces of beauty and calm where they can patiently nurture what they love into steady growth. Their loyalty and devotion are like roots that hold everything together, and they find their deepest satisfaction in cultivating a life that feels both stable and abundant. Yet every archetype has a shadow. The builder can become too attached to comfort, clinging to routines out of fear of change. May-born souls may find it hard to let go of what's familiar, even when the world calls them to stretch and evolve. Their growth lies in remembering that true stability isn't about resisting change. It's about moving with it, staying anchored in what truly matters while welcoming new growth. June, the archetype of the seeker or the mediator. June emerges as a bright invitation. Sitting at the midpoint of the year, it feels like a threshold between what has been and what's yet to come. In Jung's symbolic framework, June belongs to the seeker, the archetype that lives for discovery, connection, and the pursuit of truth. People born in June are often marked by a restless curiosity and a quick, agile mind. They're the ones who can't help but explore new ideas, who ask the questions others shy away from, and who delight in learning from every experience. There's a lightness and humor in them, a youthful spark that keeps them open to possibility and eager to share their discoveries with others. They're also natural connectors, bringing people together, bridging gaps, and weaving conversations into deeper understanding. Their words can heal, inspire, or challenge. There's a special kind of magic in how they turn casual moments into meaningful exchanges. But for the seeker, the challenge is in finding focus. With so many interests and passions, June-born souls can struggle to choose a single path. They may spread themselves thin or lose themselves in the quest to please everyone around them. Overthinking can become a trap, pulling them away from the calm center they long to find. The journey for those born in June is about learning to anchor their boundless curiosity in a steady sense of self. When they do, they discover that their gift isn't just in seeking, but in bringing others along for the ride, showing how curiosity, when grounded in self-awareness, can become a bridge to wisdom and authentic connection. If you're intrigued by how these archetypal energies show up in your own life, I invite you to check out the ebook I created, The SIM Method, based on Jung's teachings. It's a practical and transformative tool to integrate your shadow, cultivate clarity, and find inner peace, all in just 5 minutes a day. The link is pinned in the first comment if you're ready to take the next step. July, the archetype of the protector or the nurturer. July arrives bathed in warm light, inviting us to gather close, to nurture our bonds, and to honor the quiet power of care. In Jung's symbolic framework, July is linked to the archetype of the nurturer or the protector, those who carry a natural gift for creating spaces of comfort and emotional security. People born in July often have a deeply intuitive understanding of others. They're the ones who sense what's unspoken, who can soothe pain with a word or a gesture, and who instinctively create an atmosphere of safety. They're naturally empathetic and sensitive to the feelings of those around them. Many July-born individuals cherish family and roots, feeling most alive when they're surrounded by people they love or immersed in traditions that remind them of where they come from. They're the quiet strength in the room, the ones who remember birthdays, who listen when no one else will, who offer a hand when you're at your lowest. Yet even this loving archetype has a shadow. The protector can give so much of themselves to others that they forget to care for their own hearts. July-born souls may struggle to set boundaries, pouring so much of their energy into others that they feel empty or unseen. They might become the peacemakers, always smoothing things over, even when it means silencing their own feelings. Their growth comes from learning that to truly protect others, they must also honor and protect themselves. The most powerful nurture comes not from self-sacrifice but from balance, where their love for others is matched by their love for their own well-being. August, the archetype of the leader or the sovereign. August bursts into life with a bold and confident energy. It's the month when the world seems to stand in full bloom, ripe with possibility, lit by the sun's unwavering fire. For Jung, August reflects the archetype of the sovereign, the king or queen energy that calls us to stand tall, take up space, and lead with integrity. Those born in August often have an undeniable presence. There's a natural confidence in how they move through the world, a sense of self that seems to shine from within. They're the ones who step forward when no one else dares, who see the bigger picture and aren't afraid to chart a course for others to follow. Their leadership is rarely about control. It's about vision. They feel a deep call to make an impact, to leave things better than they found them, and to stand for what they believe is right. But even the sovereign archetype carries a shadow. August-born individuals may struggle with pride or feel the weight of leadership as a lonely burden. When misunderstood, they can retreat into themselves, holding back their light out of fear of being judged or rejected. They might also lean too hard into control, forgetting that true power isn't about domination, but about inspiring others to rise with them. The journey for August-born souls is to balance their commanding presence with humility and compassion. When they learn to lead from the heart and not just from the mind, they become true visionaries, illuminating the way for others while staying open to growth and change themselves. September, the archetype of the analyst or the perfectionist. September arrives with the crisp air of change. In the Northern Hemisphere, it marks the start of autumn, a time of harvest, organization, and preparing for what's to come. Jung linked this month to the archetype of the analyst, the one who seeks clarity, structure, and understanding in the ever-shifting world. Those born in September often have minds that love precision. They're the ones who see the patterns others miss, who find calm in the rhythm of order. There's a natural discipline and focus to them, a gift for taking ideas or tasks and bringing them into form, step by careful step. Whether they're planners, researchers, or creators of systems, September-born souls thrive in the quiet satisfaction of things fitting together just right. Yet the analyst's gift can easily slip into a burden. When they lean too far into perfectionism, they can become harsh with themselves, seeing only the flaws and never the progress. Mistakes can feel like threats rather than lessons, and the pressure to always get it right can weigh heavily on their hearts. For September-born individuals, the path of growth is learning to welcome the human messiness of life, to remember that imperfection is not failure, but a sign of life's unfolding nature. When they allow themselves room to breathe, they discover that true mastery is not about flawless precision. It's about the grace to hold structure and softness in equal measure. October, the archetype of the diplomat or the artist. October brings a sense of beauty and balance. The days may shorten, but the world is awash in color. Leaves of red and gold, air crisp with possibility. In Jung's Symbolism, October reflects the archetype of the diplomat or the artist, those who see life as a dance of opposites and who long to weave those contrasts into harmony. People born in October often have a gift for seeing both sides. They're natural peacemakers, able to bridge gaps with kindness and an innate sense of fairness. They're drawn to beauty, whether in art, nature, or human connection, and they often bring a quiet elegance to everything they touch. Conversations with them can feel like poetry, their presence itself like a gentle invitation to slow down and see the world more deeply. But the diplomat's strength can also be a trap. The desire for peace can become a fear of conflict, leading them to swallow their own needs in the name of harmony. They might hesitate to speak their truth, afraid that honesty will break the delicate balance they're always working to maintain. For October-born souls, growth comes from learning that real balance isn't about avoiding discord. It's about facing it with an open heart. When they find the courage to honor their truth, they discover that the most beautiful harmony is built not on silence, but on the brave and conscious weaving of differences into a living, breathing whole. November, the archetype of the alchemist or the deep transformer. November settles over the world like a quiet whisper. Light dims, leaves fall, and there's a hush that invites us to turn inward. In Jung's symbolic vision, November is the domain of the alchemist or the deep transformer, the archetype that understands that real change is forged in the shadows. People born in November often radiate an intensity that others can feel but rarely fully understand. There's a magnetic depth in them, a sense that they're never content with the surface of things. They're driven by a fierce curiosity about life's hidden layers and a need to see beyond appearances. These are the seekers, the ones who know that true healing and growth come from facing the darkness and finding the light that lives within it. November-born souls are no strangers to the cycles of death and rebirth. They may experience profound periods of loss and renewal throughout their lives, shedding old skins to make way for something truer. This constant transformation can be painful, but it also makes them powerful guides. They have the courage to go where others fear to tread, and in doing so they show others the way through their own shadows. Yet this archetype carries a heavy weight. The alchemist can become lost in their own depths, drawn so far into the underworld that they lose sight of the sun. For November-born individuals, the challenge is to trust the cycles without being consumed by them. When they learn to embrace their gift for transformation while staying connected to the present, they become not just survivors of the dark, but alchemists of the soul. December, the archetype of the wise teacher or the visionary sage. December arrives with a quiet sense of closure and possibility. The year winds down, inviting reflection, gratitude, and hope. In Jung's symbolic framework, December carries the archetype of the wise teacher, or the visionary sage, the one who holds the wisdom of the past and the light of the future. Those born in December often carry an air of quiet knowing. They're the ones who see beyond the immediate, who can trace the threads of meaning through life's twists and turns. There's a philosophical or spiritual current in them, a feeling that they're tuned into something larger, something timeless. They're dreamers and thinkers, often finding themselves called to share what they see with the world. But the sage's path isn't always easy. December-born souls can become so focused on the grand picture that they lose touch with the day-to-day moments that give life its color. They may struggle with disillusionment when the world doesn't match the vision they hold in their hearts. Their challenge is to weave their deep wisdom back into the ordinary, using it not just to teach or inspire, but to live and to love. When they find this balance, December-born individuals become beacons, shining a light on the path for themselves and others, helping everyone they touch to see that life is both a mystery and a gift, always waiting to be explored. As we've seen, each birth month through the lens of Jung's archetypes reveals a different aspect of the human journey. From the silent wisdom of January to the far-reaching vision of December, the cycle of the year becomes something more than a measure of time. It becomes a symbolic map, guiding us back to the depths of who we truly are. Jung never intended these archetypes to put us in a box or to confine who we might become. Instead, he saw them as doorways, starting points for a deeper dialogue with the soul. The archetype linked to your birth month may shine a light on your innate gifts, your emotional patterns, and the life themes you're here to explore. But what you choose to do with that insight, that's where the real journey begins. True transformation doesn't come from simply knowing your archetype. It comes from weaving that knowledge into how you live, how you love, and how you grow. Jung called this the process of individuation, the lifelong quest to become the most whole and authentic version of yourself. It's a path that's different for everyone, shaped by the choices you make and the challenges you face. The more you learn to recognize these symbolic forces moving within you, the more you realize you're not just a product of your birth month or any single label. You're a living story, a dance of light and shadow, always evolving. And as you walk this path of self-discovery with intention, you begin to shape your destiny with greater freedom and purpose. Your birth month doesn't define you, but it does offer a glimpse into the currents that have always flowed through your life. And now that you've seen this symbolic map, maybe you'll find yourself looking at your own story with new eyes that see not just who you are, but who you're still becoming.